suggestions, row, search results, for recent severe weather, row, the recommended for you, row.
And we'll get a check from Ryan on that. I know a lot of folks communicating on social media. We appreciate those reports. Appreciate those folks that have spent time to email us tonight. We do our best to sort of bounce around to all of our platforms and try to serve you the best we can. Let's zoom back in. Well, I did exactly opposite of what I wanted to do. I'm going to go back to the radar. Now let's zoom back in. Here we go. As we zoom back into parts of Spencer County and southern Shelby County, that's the, again, the broadening out of that storm. I don't suspect we'll see the tornado warning continued for this by the latest information that we're seeing, but let me just have a check. So we go to the velocity, and again, it's sort of tough to pick out, but I think we still have more of a strong wind maker pushing toward Harrisonville. Let's compare, Brian.
Yeah, it's got still some wiggle to it. That's the way I always use that meteorological term, wiggles. But you can certainly see, in this case, you really just want to follow the lightning. Where you see the lightning concentrate, that's the zone to kind of keep an eye on for any type of intensifying cell, especially, and whether or not it's weakening or getting stronger. And still some decent strikes there, right along I-64 and US 60. So if they were to extend this out for maybe a severe thunderstorm warning, they may for Shelby County, Western Franklin, and then perhaps into northern areas of Harrison. That is possible, but as far as any strong tornadic signature, I'm not seeing that. But still, that concentrated lightning area, I still think that's a spot, a bit of a hot spot still we need to keep an eye on. And it's a busy area. I know a lot of state troopers, too, that travel up and down that area. So that may help, too, if we get some of those reports here soon.
Yeah, and the latest from the Weather Service, who issues the warnings, they're saying they're going to let it go until its expiration time, and then they'll sort of reevaluate. Should it tick back up, they'll be able to expand that warning. If not, so we've got another, 15 minutes on the warning. Through that time, we'll be able to determine whether we continue that over into parts of Franklin County or not. So, again, right now, still questionable. The severe thunderstorm warning has expired. The only warning that we have is the tornado warning, and that includes parts of Shelby, southern parts of Shelby, and northern parts of Spencer. It's almost out of Spencer. So this really is a southern Shelby County storm, mainly along and south of I-64 at this point, but lifting just to the north. So something we'll watch as you pass by Shelbyville. So again, the tornado warning getting redrawn there, and you can see the area that is still in that. That includes Shelby, parts of Spencer. That continues to move off to the east. You see the latest update there. So that tornado warning continues. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke, see what information he has, and if there's anything new coming in from the social streams.
Okay, yeah, we do have a brand new photo that's just come in from Ashley Sutter here in Spencer County. If we can pop up Weather 3 there, and we'll be able to show you exactly what we're talking about here. It is a trampoline on top of a car, and you'll note that trampolines are very light. They are very broad, so they can get thrown around quite easily here. So Ashley,
I was wondering if we were going to have the first trampoline picture.
I know, it seems like during every severe weather event, and even just regular wind events, we get one of those. But yes, indeed, this is likely from a spot very close to where we had a radar-confirmed tornado there in Spencer County. Thank you to Ashley for giving us the permission to put this on the air this evening. We're going to continue to monitor for your photos and for your reports on Twitter and Facebook. Just tag us, Wave 3 Weather on Twitter, or you can submit your photo there in the comments section.
Well, Brian and I just looked at each other at the same time. We read the same thing from the National Weather Service. Let's go to it. Bowling Green we go. I just want to point out let me go to the home view first, and we'll point out the storm to our south. This is really, for folks that may have students at Western, you need to jump on the phone, make sure they are aware. They may be awake already because of what's been going on over the last couple of hours. While we still have this storm and we're watching that, I do want to just zoom in just south of us because we have so many families that have students down in Bowling Green. This storm really is moving right into the Bowling Green metro area, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there. In fact, it's already now on the other side town. Yeah, so it's already getting closer to the Corvette Museum, closer to I-65 is where we're seeing some of that. The strongest part of that. Let me stop this so we'll stop animating there. But again, here's downtown Bowling Green. Here we go toward Memphis Junction area. Here we go as you get just south of the Natcher Parkway itself, and you get very parallel here to I-65. This is going to cross I-65 with a tremendous amount of wind, and We're getting right now what we call a tornado signature that is indicated on radar. This is also a big Kentucky State Police post area, so we may have quite a few reports coming in very soon from this area. We're monitoring our sister station. Actually, they may have taken a hit. Yeah, looks like they're down in that area, so they may have lost power. They're in Bowling Green because they're right there at Russellville Road in Bowling Green, and I think the power probably got them because that crossed right over as soon as that hit that side of Bowling Green. And again, that is crossing quickly here to the east and southeast. So really, the one thing we got to keep in mind here, let me kind of animate this over the last hour, and it looks like they're redrawing it maybe. Yeah, just got a drawing to the whole structure to it all. But again, that is heading to the east and then southeast as far as individual cells, but the entire complex itself. It's a very odd look here because it is surging quickly to the northeast, but the southern part is kind of dragging its tail, if you will. It's not being allowed to go any more south. It's just building in that flow in the jet itself.
Well, it clearly is I mean, we've seen the reports. It's a large and dangerous tornado that is observed. It's on the ground. It's a considerable threat. It's doing some damage. So now's the time to let those folks know. Obviously, it may be too late for some folks, but out toward the far eastern side of Bowling Green, let them know what's happening. Let's go back to our home view here, because that storm, while it is just to our south, and I know there are many folks that have an interest at Western, including Brian, who was a alum from there, but here in Louisville, parts of Shelby County, even though this one has been weakening just a bit, it still shows potential for some strong winds and even that tornado threat. So we're going to zoom back into that. This is the only warning we have in our viewing area, but Hart County would be next in line from that southern storm. This storm moving across parts of Shelby County at this point, still showing the potential for those strong winds. Let me center it up, and then we'll add to it the velocity so we can see inside the storm. And we'll just go to the scope, and with that, we can take a look. And what we're looking for is that red and green together. That's that shear. We see, again, it's sort of broadened out. It's tough to tell. Looks like it'd be right along 64, just south of 60. That's Shelbyville Road, just past the Shelbyville area as you work your way into Frankfort, or the Franklin County area, far western parts of Franklin County. Again, it's more of a wind threat, I'd say, along that line out of anything. So it's just going to be a push of wind that comes in. Our winds gusting to 23 miles an hour here. Again, that's the only storm that we have that's warned for Louisville, is that tornado warning to our south. Additional storms toward Bowling Green. We are seeing a number of reports coming in from there at this point. Lots of power flashes coming in from the weather cameras down across the Bowling Green area. That's a storm that's on the ground. This one, not so much at this point. Has been at times. Certainly has been. We saw major damage out of this very storm way back out to our west. We have all of our team here working. We have our news crews out. The storm tracker has been deployed. We've been keeping an eye on the heavy rain in places. We have no flooding issues at this point, but you can still see the rain is falling. Back down into Bullitt County, where we tracked that storm, we have seen a number of reports of at least tree limbs. Can't say that there's been a tremendous amount of damage anywhere in our viewing area. Now, outside of the viewing area, certainly, but we have had some power outages, and we certainly have some roofs that have been damaged across parts of Breckenridge County, and then even into northern parts of Hardin County. So that storm continues to move off to the north and east. Brian?
Yeah, real quick update on our southern tier, by the way. Something we got to really watch here as we look at Max 2. We mentioned the supercell that is there with the debris signature that's coming up over the Bowling Green area. We're hoping to get more information on that here very soon. But here's the thing. When you get a cell like this, notice these are kind of more into the letter C, not a backward C, but a full-on letter C to the north of it. What will happen is this cell will begin to get faster and ahead of the actual main line. And what will happen usually in these cases when that takes place is this surges more towards, say, Hart County and eventually into, say, Greene County, is you're going to force a bit of a wiggle on the northern side of that may develop there in the southern, I would say, Grayson and southern Hardin County and LaRue. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but it is a favorable environment where you begin to have the supercell interfering with what's happening to its north. And this is an area that really hasn't seen a whole lot of action for thunderstorms. So something to watch over the next little bit. I know we've already highlighted you guys many times. You need to be on guard here, certainly for areas, I would say, right around the parkways itself, all the way to the Tennessee border. That's a zone. It's still a pretty hot zone, too. We need to watch for additional rotation here the next little bit.
All right, that certainly bears watching, and we'll keep an eye on that. The other storm that we are watching is the one that's pushing through. This warning could very well get extended over into Franklin County as that storm continues to move off to the northeast, 40 to 50 miles an hour. So the forward motion continues. But again, a wind threat for all of these storms passing by, a tornado threat for some, and that's why most of the ones that reach that level are under a tornado warning. And you see those. We have the one across parts of Shelby and now northern Spencer County, and then of course the ones down toward Bowling Green. I'm going to take a wider view of the radar and just show what's happening back out to our west. This is the line. We see the two tornado warnings that we have, things calming down a bit. Severe thunderstorm warning, Indianapolis. Back toward Evansville, lines of storms, but the severe weather threat has eased just a bit. Doesn't mean that the wind fields have eased. We still have very strong winds coming across the atmosphere. Severe thunderstorm warnings along I-40 west of Nashville. These storms likewise will be approaching the Nashville area, the Bowling Green area with the tornado warning. That's the most ominous storm that we're tracking. And then the one further to the north that we have our eyes on, probably the least ominous. This one has sort of subsided just a bit at this point. The one to our south toward Bowling Green starting to get 60 mile per hour plus winds out of even as we speak. So that's the area of concern to our south. Let's take another view, as we often do. We sort of just repeat the process, zoom in, take a scan. Let's see if we see any of the rotation through the velocity, any debris through the debris detector, and here we are. It's out of, for the most part, Spencer County. So now we're dealing with a Shelby County storm, south for the most part of US 60, eventually moving toward Frankfurt, the capital city. Let's move the radar and then we'll do our thing and sort of zoom in. All right, so there we have that. And in fact, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more since we're zoomed out. Brian, if you have anything to add, jump in.
Yeah, obviously it's worth keeping an eye back into Hardin County, into western Bullock County as well. Starting to see another round of those cell mergers taking place again. And while we've had some rain near that area, the thing is the temperature has not dropped at all, and it's still very humid there. So again, it's still unstable. And I just checked some of the latest data from one of our sites we use for real-time reports coming in, and it still indicates it's certainly an environment that can still allow for some strengthening for that cell out of Meade, moving into northern areas of Hardin County. So I just want to do FYI that we're watching you guys as well. We're watching Indiana too. I know we haven't had a ton of talk about Indiana. You've been in some of the quieter spots so far this evening overnight, and that's a good thing, but just know we're watching you too, and we'll keep an eye on that band of heavier rain approaching you as well.
All right, 5 more minutes on the warning that we have across Shelby County, and we'll see if that gets extended. I suspect with the rotation and the pockets of wind that we can see on the radar that very well may at least get extended to a severe thunderstorm warning, but running out of time to do that. Grafenberg over toward Frankfurt should be starting to see that unfold as we speak. This is moving off in that direction at about 40 to 50 miles an hour, so I would wait at any moment. In fact, I wouldn't wait. I would just go ahead and get your tornado safe place. Get where the wind can't get you, and that is the lowest level. That is away from the windows. This storm's still packing a punch, has had a history of doing so, and we've got one more county to get it through. And once we get past Franklin County, we'll push the baton over to Lexington to get you closer to the Lexington area, at least for this storm. So that's the one we continue to watch, and you can see some of the rotation that's showing up within that. Back to the radar view we go. And with that, it doesn't look all so impressive on the radar, but nonetheless, the heavy rain will continue. That is the tornado warning. Goes until 2:30. We're just 4 minutes away from that. No additional warnings, at least at this point, have been issued downstream. I'm going to take us back out of this view. Want to point out both of those. Brian mentioned these storms moving through Meade County, back down toward the Western Kentucky Parkway. This is west of I-65. This is a more favorable environment for the wind threat to our south and the rotation. So that continues down toward Bowling Green. Again, here comes the tornado warning that's now for Hart County. You can see it being expanded across the southern part of the state. So that one's coming out of Bowling Green into Hart County, the tornado warning. This one showing that the not too far from Plum Springs, moving off to the east at about 55 miles per hour. This is an observed tornado. It is not necessarily radar indicated, though we can see it on the radar. Just going to zoom into that storm down to our south. That's the one that had the punch with all of the wind in Bowling Green. We go inside the storm with our tools. We take a look at the velocity. You'll see what I'm talking about right there. Just past Bowling Green at this point, it would be on the far eastern outskirts. This will move toward Rocky Hill, Brownsville, right up toward the Munfordville area. So perhaps just south of Munfordville as it crosses over 31W. You have time. If you're in Hart County, now is the time to get in the tornado safe place. This is, again, not radar, obviously radar indicated. We can see it, but more importantly, it is observed, and we have seen damage out of this in Bowling Green. So that is the storm that we're watching to the south. All right, Brian is sort of scanning all the storms, southern Indiana down into the Louisville Metro, pushing through Meade County. Let's jump over to him with any details you have there, Brian.
All right, we'll actually start in Indiana real quick and take a quick scan of what everything is looking like there across the southern part of the Hoosier State itself. And we are dealing with the actual band here. Looks like the last of it, really, moving across areas of Indiana. As you head into near the IU campus, approaching the Lawrence County area. Nothing severe indicated, but no doubt it's going to be still a loud show and some gusty winds out there. Now, the fuel, there's not as much of that fuel around that there was earlier, but there is at least some to still work with to get a damaging wind threat, so we can't take that off the table just yet. For those of you, okay, tornado in Franklin?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, tornado warning right there, right over the city of Frankfort. And that, Kevin, was right on the northern part of the one in Yoder that held together. And it kind of snuck, I guess, for about 15 minutes without any dramatic detection. But now it looks like it's ramped back up again in that area there.
All right, so we continue. We said we'd track this through the capital city and then eventually move it on out. This is the storm to the south, so let's go back. We'll go back to our tools. I'm going to pop on the velocity. We'll go back to our camera, take us home, and then we'll zoom over into the Franklin County area. So back to tools and to zoom. So here we go. And that's the, again, two storms really that we're watching. This one is going to fade away, and then this is the one with the latest warning. So let me just pan that over. That storm, there it is. It's gone. So it's moved out of Spencer and Shelby counties as we expected. And now we're solidly moving across Franklin County. Again, you can see the rotation showing up. That's a tight couplet showing up right over Frankfort. In fact, this should go just to the north of the capital. This is going to be moving pretty much off to the east, northeast at about 60 miles an hour. This is a fast-moving storm. It was right over Frankfort. That's how fast it spun up. That's why we were curious if they were going to extend the warning. Took a little bit of time to do that. Boom. There you see the reason the warning was issued, and rightfully so. We can see that moving, should go just south of the Peaks Mill area. So again, the tornado warning continues for parts of Franklin County, and that warning will be in place until